Khorne recently got some pretty wide-ranging cost decreases, which certainly did help them to a degree. Khorne is a faction that struggles because they don't have much in the way of AoE damage or really any activatable abilities besides just a handful of buffs and like 1 or 2 damage abilities. It means their troops need to be the best and most cost-effective generally in their class, which they broadly have not been up until now. I think they probably still need some help and some love. Hopefully Khorne gets a Monogods DLC at some point in the future, but for this replay, Pigman's going to be taking them and a little bit more troops than he could perhaps before, as these Chaos Warriors did get, again, cost decrease. We've got 4 of them in the front line, plus a Halberd on this far side, then some Knights of Khorne, of course. Chaos Knights, Sword and Shield, going to be great right now, or Axe and Shield in this case. Fury's also got a buff. They have more unit models now and more leadership, so they can perform much better and not just die instantly. He's got 4 of them. And then, the Chaos Knights, he's got a Herald of Khorne, nice and cheap, and great stats for the cost. He's also got that one buff here, Revel in Slaughter, for some nice leadership and melee attack. And, Locus of Wrath as well for even more melee attack. For the Kislev player opposing them, we've got the Golden Knight Nariska and Ice Witch of Tempest. Front line of Kislev Warriors, second line of Ice Guard with Glaives here, some Winged Lancers, and some Horse Archers. So lots of anti-large, very interesting. I do have some criticisms of this Kislev build. Mostly, Winged Lancers are great, but given the fact you're almost guaranteed to see Chaos Knights against any of the Monogods factions, I think you need the higher tier Winged Lancers. I think Winged Lancers just straight up win against Chaos Knights because of their higher armor and glorious charge. They do perform quite well, and just generally, I would say, are the best unit on Kislev's roster right now. So, not that Winged Lancers are bad necessarily, but they just don't have the quality. Same thing here with these Kislev Warriors running in to meet their doom against the Khorne Warriors. Just don't have the quality to stand up to Khorne infantry. Even something like Armored Kossars obviously would perform much better and are much more of a kind of peer opponent to these Chaos Warriors. Ice Guards also are not going to do a ton, perhaps. Let's see. Maybe they can help control the movements a little bit of these Chaos Knights. You can see them being significantly slowed by that Frostbite. Nice little bombardment there, but yeah, this unit of Winged Lancers getting savaged pretty heavily as they get charged by Furies. They're getting hit by these Chaos Knights as well. Locus of Wrath to pump up the melee attack of everything. Nariska is going to charge in. Not that her silence does a lot. This is also, again, if there's one matchup where you shouldn't take Nariska because your opponent doesn't have any abilities, it's against Khorne, because they're not... I mean, what are you afraid of them using Locus of Wrath? I don't know. It is nice to remove the magical damage, of course, as long as she has the Guardian, which it doesn't look like she actually does. So, yeah, I think a few questionable picks from Kislev here, but so far, how are they doing? The Ice Guards managing to stay alive. The kind of auxiliary Horse Archers here supporting, doing some nice damage. Those Chaos Knights starting to drag them down over time. Fire Blood, of course, Winged Lancers also allows them to hold, while some more bombardments land on those Knights. But yeah, the Warriors in the front line just get destroyed while trading fairly inefficiently against these Chaos Warriors. To be expected, to be honest, but that is what it is. Furies rushing in once again. They count as infantry size. They won't be subjected to the Glaives anti-large bonus, but oof, that Khorne bombardment there coming in doing some really nice damage. Does actually finish off a friendly Fury unit, but that's more than a fair trade to take down these Ice Guards. Meanwhile, over on the far side, we do get the summon of Snow Leopard, helping to contribute some more anti-large. And the characters, 3v1, 2v1, 3v1, I guess single entities, on the Herald is going to be bad news for him, so it's got to move in with the Knights, use them to screen here, use the Furies to screen as well, as Herald jumps on out to safety. But doesn't mean these units are likely going to be sacrificed. The Horse Archers doing some nice damage to the Furies, especially with their bows. But more Furies still on station. Yep, looks like they're going to go back and try and chase those Horse Archers away, while these Khorne Warriors and Furies also hit these Horse Archers and Ice Guards. So a balance of power pretty close, largely because the characters for Kislev are still so healthy, but another little bombardment here going to do some damage to these Chaos Knights. Spell resistance of Khorne will help them somewhat. Chaos Knights were pretty much finished off anyway. I don't know if the magic really helped a whole lot there, but it's something. You can see the Herald here kind of trying to bait these single entities, try and pull them into infantry, get them bogged down and surrounded. More Knights coming as well to provide some mass here. And it's basically just about keeping these single entities busy while he cleans up the rest of the army here, and should have enough resources with the knights and other tools left. Let's see, how are those halberds doing? Are they still hanging around as well? Would be good to have, obviously, but I don't see them, so yeah, some more bombardments here. Continue doing some DPS. Not as good as Searing Doom, but still very solid, especially against the cavalry units, which kind of take more damage, right? Get hit by more of those missiles, have less HP overall. But now, Nariska being bogged down, there's no one to protect. Of course, the Snow Leopard summon being done as well. No one to protect the Ice Witch from the Herald. Well, except for the Ice Guards. They get a volley in there and get a tiny little bit of Frostbite, which will allow the Ice Witch to get away and scream. These Horse Archers, very nicely done by the Kislev player here. And to be honest, the Kislev player has played it very well. I just think from an army composition perspective, they didn't set themselves up great for success here. Yeah, like I said, the Ice Guards I think are a little bit of a questionable pick. I would just switch them out and use the funds. Upgrade some of those Wing Lancers to, well, we'll go over the build maybe after the fact. There's a build with Kislev, or at least a core of a build, that I would take in just about every single matchup right now. You could probably switch things up as needed, but we'll take a look at that again in the end. Certainly against the faction that can bring Chaos Knights, as they are quite big and scary. Outclass the Winged Lancers significantly. Some more bombardments raining down. Kislev not going quietly into that good night. Horse Archers being used to chase the Knights here, and we have a handful of Ice Guards there, skirmishing down some Chaos Warriors over time. Nariska and the Ice Witch have taken some damage, nothing too crazy, but there's a lot of warriors still as well. They're all, you know, over half HP. That's just so much meat to try and get through for non-AP characters, like the two here for Kislev. So it's going to be a bit of a grind. Let's fast forward through said grind as the Ice Witch's magic continues to sustain, at least for the time being. Not sure how much Winds of Magic she actually has left, but Herald comes in here to finish off the Ice Guards, as do some of the Warriors, while Nariska and the Ice Witch stay chasing routing units. Probably for the best. Yuri's here, doing a little bit of distraction, kind of wasting some ammunition, if ever so slightly. Oh, there are the halberds still hanging around. Okay, Khorne halberds still here. Going to be very important. And priority-wise, I mean, not that the Ice Guards are going to do much damage, but their priority should definitely be the halberds as much as possible. Everything for Kislev is going to be vulnerable to them, and they'll have no choice but to fight them eventually. But for the time being, it's just going to be the regular Sword and Shield Warriors moving in. Nice blob from bombardments to continue hitting. But halberds continue pushing through as well. Herald overextends himself a little bit, manages to hang on to his demonic leadership, though, and kind of keep this blob anchored momentarily while the infantry start to catch up. And with the halberds now getting good contact on these lords and heroes, Herald, if he can get through to them, can kind of just wheel around and like stand right on top of them, and that will pretty much beat game, I think. So let's fast forward through the rest of this late game grind as Nariska and the Ice Witch make their final stand, but just too many heavy Chaos Warriors for them to try and get through, and that is going to be army losses. So there you go. Nice win for Khorne from Pigman. And like I said, I have some criticisms. Gotrek, I think, played the build fairly well, but yeah, could have had maybe a little bit better composition for taking on Khorne. The Kislev Warriors, especially with the nerfs, just aren't going to perform quite as well as they used to. The Ice Guards also, and the Winged Lancers, they kind of all just got outclassed to a degree, although the characters obviously were able to do quite a bit of damage. I don't know that I would change necessarily these two, although Katarine's also probably decent, but yeah, on the Khorne side for Pigman here, I mean, the Khorne mid-tier troops just being cost-effective and paying for themselves, right? These Chaos Warriors all get good value. It's great to see. The Furies, a couple of them pay for themselves as well. Same with the Knights. Well, actually, none of the Knights pay for themselves, but tactically, they were able to fairly well dominate that mobility fight. The Winged Lancers really didn't do anything either, so interesting one for sure. But yeah, we'll talk more about Khorne in future battles, no doubt. For Kislev, though, let's just quickly talk about what I would consider to be kind of the core Kislev build. So Griffin Legion, max 3. You want to max on your 3. That 72 charge bonus with Glorious Charge and 110 armor makes them good against basically everything. They're just so strong right now. And then something like, 4 armored Kossars, 4 basic Kossars. It's a considerable spend, but then with the remaining 4,000 points, you can come in here and do whatever you need to, depending on the matchup. Maybe you might need artillery trades, so you take maybe a little Grom or two, and then take a cheap Lord, maybe some extra auxiliary support, or if you're, like facing a big scary thing, you could take an anti-large like Boris, or even Katarine, to be honest, on the new Frostworm mount. It's a much smaller target. Has anti-large, good stats all around, 110 armor, right? Yeah, can be potentially very good. You could even pair her with Nariska for even more tankiness. This is certainly a situation where taking the Guardian for the extra physical resistance and the removing of magical attacks, although it's a fair amount of spend, it's definitely going to be worth it. Of course, you've got a little bit of money left over to come in here and buy some spells, or you could maybe downgrade something, maybe, I don't know. I'd hate to downgrade any of the Griffin Legion, to be honest. I'd probably keep all of them, but again, you can kind of play around with this, and even with the infantry composition to a degree, but the Griffin Legion are definitely the way to go, especially against, again, any faction that can take those Chaos Knights. You might not think it looking on paper, like the Chaos Knights of Khorne especially, just considerably better armor and just better everything, to be honest, other than the charge bonus, right? But keep in mind that charge does matter a lot, and especially the fact that it's doubled in duration. The Griffin Legion, again, I haven't tested, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just beat or at least trade with Khorne Knights, and considering they're considerably cheaper, well, 200 points, not that much cheaper, but still, it is cheaper. Yeah, Griffin Legion probably very cost-effectively trade there, I would guess. But hope that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button.